Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Arian. I am photo retoucher and you can learn, make and create together with me. So today I'm going to show you how you can edit a beauty portrait step by step using my actions. So without any further ado, let's get started. And as you can see, this portrait needs to be clean, so I'm just gonna click and play here on the clean section. And as you can see, we have two different layers. One of them is clean and one is a black and white help layer, which gonna help us to clean in the details that we can see. For cleaning, we are going to use three different tools. One of them is spot healing brush, and patch tool. So if you use any of them three, it's okay for cleaning. So I'm just gonna start with spot healing brush, and I'm gonna zoom in here in the forehead, and I'm gonna turn on the black and white help layer. So I'm going to see the details in a better view. So I highly recommend to get these actions for retouching because it can help you to speed up your workflow of post-production or editing in Photoshop. This photo raw file is from a specific photographer. Link is in the description. If you want to follow my step-by-step process for retouch, you have to get these actions and follow my step-by-step guide here on this video tutorial. And I think that I'm gonna speed up this process of cleaning because it's only with the spot healing brush. And I'll see you guys in a few seconds. And as you can see, now after we are done with cleaning, you can see a before and after all the little changes that we have made. I'm just gonna merge these two layers. I'm gonna click Control keyboard and hold it. And with a right click, I'm going to merge layers into one. And now it's time for frequency separation. So click here on the FS plus and click play. So for choosing the right radius, you have to make this 0.1 and zoom in the face or where we have some harsh texture, and you will have to slide this into the right until we see some of the details disappear. For example, I think that 10 or maybe 8 will be enough, and click OK. Now that it's done, open the group, and here you have two different layers. One of them is the low frequency, which is the color, and one of them is high frequency, which is the texture. So we are going to work in both of them. So I'm just going to turn off on this high frequency because we are going to work in the low frequency. In this part, I'm going to use mixer brush, and for the settings of the mixer brush, I'm going by 10 of wet, load 25, mix for 45, sorry, and flow by 33. I'm gonna zoom in here on the forehead because I always start with the forehead cleaning, frequency separation, and dodge and burn, etc., etc. So as you can see, I'm just increasing the brush, and I'm gonna start mixing the skin tones here in the forehead. And this is the frequency separation technique. As I said before, a link is in the description for this raw file. It's in my Telegram channel. Don't forget to check all the links down below in the description because you can find the actions. Recently, I made a bundle pack of Creator, which is mine, and it's including the retouching action full pack, makeup artist retouching action, and some extra actions. So you can get all of them for $65. As I said, you have to get this raw file for practice, and if you get my actions first and you get the raw file, it's easy for you to follow my step-by-step process of this video tutorial. So let's back to the retouching. As you can see that I'm using frequency separation with the mixer brush tool. I'm mixing the skin tones here and there. This is a nice technique for retouching. If you're new to the retouching, don't forget to search more tutorials, not just to stop by only in this one, because you may find something better out there in YouTube, or maybe not. I don't know about that, but don't forget that you should watch only the properly videos, because if you find, for example, a bad tutorial, you're gonna learn something bad, and the results, of course, they will be bad. So be careful out there because there are too many video tutorials about retouching. I'm not saying that mine are the best, but be careful when you watch something, because if you watch a bad tutorial and you're gonna learn something from that one, you're gonna keep working in that way. So in this video tutorial, sorry, I'm teaching two techniques. One of them is frequent separation and the other one is dodge and burn. So I'm mixing both of them and you'll get great results by the end. So stick to the end and you will get the best results possible. Let's just check a before and after of this process. As you can see, I have just mixed some highlights with the skin tone, and I think that is looking good. Now I'm just gonna turn on the black and white help layer, and as you can see here, we have something to work on. And I'm gonna speed up this process because it will take more time, but it's only with the with the mixer brush, sorry. And see you guys in a few seconds. And now, as you can see, a before and after what we have done so far in the low frequency. Now that we are done with low frequency, it's time for the high frequency or the texture. So for the texture, sorry, I'm using a clone stamp tool. I'm just gonna zoom in where I want to make some changes. The clone stamp tool is for cleaning the texture. So for cleaning the texture, you have to hold Alt keyboard by copy here and paste it here. It's only for the texture, so you have to be sure that you are copy pasting the texture as near as possible, because when you copy the texture, for example, if you copy here and you paste it here, as you can see, you're going to make something bad. So be careful when you use a clone stamp tool in this process. Copy paste as near as possible, as I said before. This is for not ruining the texture, so be careful on this process. It's not that you can't go back in the history. For example, if you make something bad here in this high frequency copy, it's always the original under that. So don't worry about anything. I'm just saying that you have to be careful here in this process because you don't want to ruin the texture of some parts. For example, here under the eyes, we are going to create something bad, but I'm gonna recover this part with a digital skin texture later, so don't worry about this. And again, for this part, it's only with the clone stamp tool. I'm gonna speed up this process because it will take more time, and see you guys in a few seconds. And now, after we are done in the high frequency, as you can see before and after all the frequency separation, I'm just gonna merge this group, as you can see, and we have a single layer, which is frequency separation, as you can see before and after. Now I'm going to click here on the dodge and burn, sorry, here on dodge and in the burn, click play, and I'm going to use dodge with a white brush with 10% opacity and 100% low. I'm just gonna recover some highlights here. This is more like a general dodge. This is not a local, because local is a deeper one. I'm just gonna zoom in a little and use a higher brush, as you can see, with a 40. Let's just check a before and after. And yeah, I think it's starting to look good. Don't forget that dodge is only for the brighter parts or the highlights. For example, if you want to put some more light, for example, here on the hair, as you can see what I'm doing right now, let's just check a before and after. It will make something good, as you can see, but you have to open the group of the dodge and click here on desaturate and lower this by 22 and close the group again. You can check a before and after, and if you think that is way too much, you have to lower the opacity of the entire group, and I think that 65% is enough. Now let's just check a before and after. I think it's looking good so far. Now click here on the burn. The burn is for the contour if you wanna create, for example, here on the cheeks. Usually I use burn for the hair and around the forehead because it will make the portrait look even better, so why not doing that. And I will use a little here on the eyebrows. maybe a little on the eyelashes, why not, and a little here. Now let's just check a before and after all this burn, and I think that is looking good. But as you can see, we have something here on the hair, so click here on the mask and use a black brush and paint it here by deleting that. Do it in the other part. Let's just check a before and after this entire process. Yeah, I think it's looking good, but it's kind of too much. I'm just gonna lower this by 45, something like that, and check a before and after all this entire process so far. And I think it's looking good. Now click the shift keyboard and hold it, click here and merge this into one layer. As you can see, a before and after. Now it's time for the this part around the lips, because as you can see the red color is out. So I'm just gonna create a selection here with the pen tool. As you can see, pen tool is here, and I will create a shape around the lips. Make selection and choose a radius by 2% and Ctrl J keyboard. As you can see, we have the shape of the lips. Rename this mouth or the lips, it doesn't matter. Click here on the burn and click on the frequency separation again, click play. And this time for the radius, I think that I will go by 10, I think is enough. Click here on the low frequency and click Control, hold it and click here on the lips. As you can see, is the selection around the lips. So I'm just gonna invert this by clicking Control, Shift and I. And as you can see, it's inverted. So I'm just gonna use mixer brush again with a 100% and I'm gonna wipe out this red color that is around the lips. Now let's just check what we are doing so far. And as you can see, I think it's looking good. Now do it again because we want to wipe it out because it's not looking that good. Now deselect, Control and D. Click here on the high frequency again and let's just check a before and after. I think it's looking good, but the line here, I think it's way too sharp. And when we zoom in, as you can see, we still have the red color around the lips because it's on the high frequency too. So I'm just gonna click here on the high frequency and Control, click here on the lips, Control, Shift and I for inverting. And I will use clone stamp tool by copy pasting the texture around the lips. And this way I will remove the red color around the lips. And now that I'm done in the high frequency, I'm gonna turn off this first. And as you can see, as I said before, we have a sharp line here. So I'm just gonna smooth out this by using blur tool with 100% strength. And I will just paint it here where we are doing, where we have made changes. Sorry about my English. Please let me know in the comments if I'm understandable or not, because English is my second language, and just let me know if I'm understandable or not. Now let's just check a before and after, zoom out, and I think it's looking really nice so far. So I'm gonna merge these two, the group and the layer beneath. Let's just click merge layers, and as you can see, what we've done so far, I think is looking really nice. I'm gonna zoom in here, and as you can see, I think that we have something, the yellow color in the teeth. So I'm just gonna click here on the whiten brighten teeth, click play. And as you can see, some actions are not working properly, I don't know why. So just put these two, the hue saturation and the whiten, into the group and click here on the mask. Use the white brush with 100% and start painting. And here, as you can see, a before and after all this, I think that it's looking really nice, but I think that is way too much. So I'm just gonna open this group and check which one of them has the color. So I think that is hue saturation, and I know which one, but I'm just demonstrating you which one is for the colors. So as you can see, we have a little bit more to paint here inside. and I think that is looking really nice. So click here on the hue saturation one, and I think that I will lower this by 50%, and click here on the whiten. This one is for the yellows, as you can see before and after. This one is, as you can see, for making them brighter, and this one is for the light. And I think that 45 is okay, but I will lower this by 35 and close the group. Check a before and after again. And if you think that the teeth are too shiny or too white, as you can see, we have the opacity of the group by 80%, so I'm just gonna lower this by 75, and I think that is okay. Now that we are done with the teeth, I'm just gonna merge these into one layer again. Click merge, and here are before and after all this entire process. Now that we are done with the lips and the teeth, I think that it's time for the eyes. So click here on the eye plus all in, click play, click continue, and open this group. Click on the remove veins, zoom in into the eyes with a white brush and 100% opacity. I'm just gonna paint it here on the white of the eyes. This one is for cleaning or making them a little blurry, and it's not that much, as you can see, before and after. So I'm just gonna lower this by 50%. Click here on the brightening. This one is for the whiten of the eyes. I'm just gonna paint it in both of them. Let's just check a before and after. I think it's kind of too much, so I'm just gonna lower this by 50% too. Click here on the eyeball whitening, and this one is for the eyeballs, again with a 100% brush. Paint it inside the eyes. Zoom in and zoom out every time if you wanna see the before and after details. And as you can see, this one is looking good, but just lower this by 80% because 100% was way too much. And this is the iris contour, and this one is my favorite because it makes the eyes pop, as you can see. This one is for the contours. This one works great even for the eyelashes because it's only a darker adjustment. Let's just check a before and after, and I think it's looking good. Now close the group and check a before and after all this entire process. And if you think this one is way too much, always lower the opacity of the group. So I'm just gonna go by 75, and I think that we are looking good here. Now click a before and after all this entire process, and I think it's looking good. Now merge these two layers into one again. Check a before and after, and yeah, I think is looking really nice. Now that we are done with the eyes, I think that it's time for some eyeshadows and some more changes around the eyes. So I'm just gonna click here on the makeup artist retouching actions, and I will click here on the smoky eyes. Click play and put this on top. Click here on the eyeshadows, pick a color, click play, and I will start using this adjustment first. So with a white brush, I'm just gonna paint it here around the eyes, and as you can see, it's creating some nice shadows. Don't forget to do this in both of the eyes. Now let's just check a before and after all this process, and I think it's looking good, but as you can see, this one is way too much, so I'm just gonna reduce reduce this by 20, something like that, and I think it's looking good. Now click here on the mascara, and with a white brush, I'm just gonna paint it here. This model is not that have some big eyelashes, so let's just check up before and after all this process, and I think it's looking good, but I'm just gonna reduce this by 50%, and I think it's okay. And check up before and after all this entire process, and I think it's looking really nice. So I'm just gonna click here on the eyeshadows, and I'm gonna drag and drop by creating another layer of that. This one is for changing the color around the eyes. For example, we pick the red color, and with a white brush, I'm just gonna paint it here. As you can see, it will create some nice color shadows. I just picked the red color, And as you can see, a before and after, and I think is looking really nice. But I'm gonna stick with a color that is kind of here, so I'm just gonna click I and copy the color, and I think that is kind of something into orange or something like that. But here we have the swatches, and I think that I will pick some color, and I think that this one will work fine. So I'm just gonna paint it around the ice with this kind of pink, light pink, and I think that it will look nice here. Don't forget to do that in both of the eyes if you are following my step by step. Now let's just check a before and after. And yeah, I think it's looking good. But here we have some kind of golden color, so I'm just gonna click here on the swatches again. And I think that I will pick this color. This one is looking good. And I will paint here. And yeah, I think is kind of this color, but let's just check a before and after I'm done here. And I think that is looking good, but 100% is way too much, so I'm just gonna lower this by 35, something like that, and I will check a before and after of this entire process. And I think is looking really nice. So I'm just gonna merge all of these layers into one again. Now let's just check a before and after, and yeah, I think is looking good. Now that we are done with eyeshadows, it's time for adding some sharpness here into this portrait. So click play here, and as you can see, it's a black mask. So invert this by clicking Control keyboard and I for inverting into white. And here we have some before and after of the sharpness, and I think is way too much. So I'm just gonna lower this by 35 and merge these two layers again into one. As I've made some changes here under the eyes, as I said before, we have to add some skin texture. So I'm just gonna click play here, and I will paint it with a 100% brush around here by recovering the texture. And let's just zoom in again, check it before and after. I think it's looking good, but let's just lower this by 60% because it's way too much. Merge again into one layer and click here on the makeup artist retouching actions, and I'm gonna add some basic contrast, and 100% in this one is way too much, so I'm just gonna lower this by 35 and click here on the face contour, click play, and I think that highlights are too brightened, so I'm just gonna double click here on the hues adjustments, and I'm sorry, in the properties of this specific layer, and this one is for the highlights, this one is for the midtones, and this one is for the shadows. So I'm just gonna reduce the highlights, something like this. Now let's just check a before and after, and I think it's looking good. Now let's just reduce this by 60%, and 60 I think is looking good. Now merge these into one again and delete this layer and this one too. Now let's just check a before and after of this entire process, and I think is looking really nice. Let's just zoom in. As you can see, a before and after, we still have the texture, we didn't ruin that, and this is the best way for retouch. And I think that this is it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video tutorial. If you find this useful, please let me know in the comments, drop some likes for the algorithm, why not? And don't forget to check all the links down below in the description, because you can find the raw file and these actions that I have been using in this video tutorial. And see you guys in the next one. Peace.